Hello my friends, it is Bucky here again, entering the room of Buck. Today I have a different style video. I'm going to be talking about something that I have been watching so many videos about. It is Extinction Rebellion. I've been watching many videos such as this one, which is BBC Politics Live, Dr. Rupert Read, Extinction Rebellion. This is going to be me reacting to the Extinction Rebellion videos. Are you ready for this? Let's go.
Move on to Extinction Rebellion. We're on day 2 of a 2-week protest, Rupert, in cities around the world, including here in London. The Prime Minister at a book launch last night described the protesters as bivouac crusties. Is that a fair comment?
Boris Johnson called Extinction Rebellion a bunch of bivouac crusties. Is that not too funny? That's so funny. It's like funny on... For me, it's funny on like 2 levels. One, because like, how could a Prime Minister say that? Like, how can you say that? Like, how do you get away with that? There's a bunch of bivouac crusties. In fact, I want to watch Boris Johnson saying that. That just sounds too funny. And then the other funny bit, which I'm slightly scared about saying, because I'm sorry, but there is like the tiny hint of truth. Like, he's not just a complete idiot. There is like the tiniest hint of truth that there is a small little hint of crust behind the Extinction Rebellion movement. Like, I'm sorry, Extinction Rebellion, don't come and eat me, I'm sorry. But like, I have a hint of crust in me too, so you know, I'm not worried about saying this. In fact, when I was younger, when I was a wee bubba, my dad called me the crusty crawler. So here is Boris Johnson talking about the crusties living in hemp-smelling bivouacs.
My own team didn't want me to come to this event tonight because they said that there were some uncooperative crusties and protesters of all kinds littering the road, and they said there was some risk that I would be egged on my way in here. And so I immediately asked the faint hearts in my private office, what would Margaret Thatcher have done tonight? What would Maggie do when we are waylaid in the streets, as I'm sure we will be, by importunate, nose-ringed, dreadlocked, climate change protesters? We remind them that she was also right before her time about greenhouse gases. And she took it seriously. She took it seriously long before Greta Thunberg. And the best thing possible for the education of the denizens of those heaving, hemp-smelling bivouacs that now litter Trafalgar Square and Hyde Park and the rest of London, the best thing for them would be to stop blocking the traffic and buy a copy of Charles's magnificent book.
Not cool, Boris, not cool. I mean, that was a little bit patronising and belittling and disrespectful to the people who are out on the streets protesting, I would say. That's just like, what do you mean, man? You can't say that. Like, what? I don't know. It's just like not very political, is it? I don't know. Crusties. So crusty. What does he mean by crust? I'm not entirely sure, but my perception of the crustness is that, like, to me, crusty is like a little bit edgy. Obviously, it's on the edge of the bread, so it's got to be a bit edgy. It's like a bit edgy, like a little bit like grimy, a little bit like, but also like a little bit like, nah, a little bit angry, like crusty, crusty. You know what I mean? Like a little bit like snappy. That's to me like what a bit of crust is. And I definitely have a bit of crust within me. So like, I love a bit of crust. I've got nothing against the crust. However, if Extinction Rebellion want to be taken more seriously and for a much larger engagement and for lots of people to want to get involved, I think it needs to be aware of the crust and maybe try and like represent itself with a bit more non-crust. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's watch the video and I will explain. So here is the Dr. Rupert Read. Now, is he a crusty? Is this man a crust? We will find out shortly after the break. Okay, so here is Rupert talking about some climate change things. Here we go.
proposing by 2025, are you saying that people wouldn't be able to drive cars, people wouldn't be able to take flights, people would have to get rid of gas boilers?
Extremely difficult. We need a wartime mobilisation. We need the kind of thing that we did in 1939, 1940, when everything was turned around on a sixpence, right? We need to start right now.
And would it be those things? Would it be those things?
Well, let me say this very clearly. The first thing we need to do is stop making things worse. So the question I'd like to put over to our Labour and Conservative MPs is, will you agree to stop making things worse? Will you agree right now to stop airport expansion, to cancel HS2, to stop building new roads, and to stop prospecting for new fossil fuels? Because the longer we keep it, we're going to fry ourselves with the fossil fuels we've got already.
So, very interesting points he's making there. These are things that I've thought about before as well. Like, I've thought, you know, maybe it would be good for things to suddenly be like, boom, this shit is real. It's time to act now. Let's do this. I've thought those things as well. So, like, I understand where he's coming from. I'm just not quite sure about the mode of delivery. Like, is there a hint of crust? There's a little bit of like, there's like that kind of like anger, terrier-like kind of energy. This is like, it seems to be really angry, and it reminds me a little bit of like a child having a tantrum, saying like, everything needs to change now, mummy. Why aren't you making it change, government? Like, why aren't you doing things to make it change? Like, and I understand, because I feel like that a bit as well. I just feel like that mentality could put off people. So for me, if XR wants to grow and be like an inclusive movement that includes the general public or everyone, then, and I'm just not sure whether this approach of a whatever, like, emergency response is the best or not. Is it better to have an emergency response and all be panicking, or is it better just to have like a slightly slower transition? So yeah, that's the question. That's what I'm thinking about. So I don't know, I don't have the answers. I'm just interested between this thing of like emergency response and like, right, everything's got to happen now, versus slightly slower transition. Like, I imagine, well, actually, this is my brother who came up with this analogy, which I really like, is that it's like a big ship, like that humans and have this big momentum in direction in the evolution of human society and culture, and it's like a big ship and it's chugging along, chug, 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 and maybe it's heading towards the edge of a cliff, or maybe not the edge of a cliff, but like it's heading towards annihilation. But it's shifting, it's like changing path, like it's turning slowly, and maybe we'll like come to near the edge, but we'll just turn in time. It'll be like, whoa, that was close, that was a close call. And I feel like the Extinction Rebellion thing is like coming towards the edge of the cliff, and we're like, no, we gotta do it now, we gotta turn now, we gotta turn now. And then like, but then it's like fighting within the ship. Like, we gotta turn now, we gotta take control, we gotta like rip down the current coordinated system of the ship and take over the wheel and just like, turn hard, and like turn hard. But maybe that's not the best. I don't know, if we turn too hard we might just fall over and collapse anyway. Like, we might just go into anarchy, and like, what would happen then? I don't know. Some people probably want anarchy. I mean, anarchists definitely want anarchy, but I'm not sure. What do you think? So yeah, that's what I'm interested about at the moment. Okay, so this is a really interesting point. We have a politician. She actually has some really like valid points. She's also like really well composed. Over on the right here we have the slight hint of crust from Dr. Rupert Reed, who's getting very worked up and angry, which like I understand and I empathise with. But I'm not sure if it is the best way to compose oneself if they're trying to engage with a larger audience. Like, I wouldn't want him as my leader. Like, I wouldn't want him to be driving the ship. He's like freaking out, man. I don't. So, something, right? Something I've learned in like first aid training. When shit goes down, when there's an emergency, number one thing is stop. and stay calm. This guy does not seem to be staying calm. He seems to be freaking the frick out. So, like, I wouldn't want him leading my ship. I want somebody calm and composed to be leading. So having said that, let's watch this little clip here.
Now, if you're serious about this issue, you will agree with us to stop making things worse.
All right, well, Jess, you said no too to those things.
I absolutely would not vote for the scrapping of HS2. It has been the single greatest economic benefit to the area that I live, where my children, for example, now say things like, oh, well, you know, when I grow up, I want to be like an architect or work in the media. Whereas when I was growing up in Birmingham, you could be a public sector worker or work in factories. And now those industries exist and things in the place where I live. And I have to, and HS2 for the environment in the long term is surely
No, the evidence doesn't support that. What we need to be...
See, look, she was saying such a good point, and then he just cuts in and interrupts. Like, listen to her, man. Like, you gotta listen to her. If you want to create a movement with real impact, you have to listen to people. Like, she had a really good point that she was making. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. I haven't done the research. HS2, controversial, deforestation. Is it good? I don't know. But, like, she's speaking from, like, the heart, man. It seems like she's speaking from the heart, and he just cuts in, boom, you're wrong, bitch. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So let's get back to the video.
But
doing
what
is
about,
moving
can
to...
I
We
just
need to have
say,
a Green New Deal,
Rupert,
like Labour said.
I understand that you feel very, very passionately. There are things I feel deeply passionate about that I would not give up on. But the reality is that how can you and I... Because I agree with you.
She is a dude. Like, I would much rather have her as my leader than him. He's like an angry little terrier, and she's like a bigger presence of, like, calm down. How can we get on the same page? Like, this is what I mean. Why are you fighting against, like, her? Like, you could be working with her and collaborating. Like, that passion for the environment could be, like, worked with creatively with all people to create positive stuff, rather than just, like, being angry at the establishment. Why not, like, work with the establishment? The establishment has good people within it. There's, like, so many good people in politics and law and everything, you know? Like, work with them. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say. Why are you getting angry at everybody? Like, come on, man.
How can you and I get on the same page where my constituents can benefit and the place where I live at the same time as your... We need to get on the same page.
Absolutely.
That's the most important
Totally
thing.
agree.
Will your approach bring people like Jess and Nigel on board?
She makes a really good point. Will your approach bring people like Nigel and Jess on board? That's the question. So, this is my message to you, Extinction Rebellion. Hate me if you want to. Hate me if you want to. But I really do think it's about being intelligent about how XR represents itself. Because if you are representing yourself as angry crusties, like, that's not going to bring a lot of people on board. Because a lot of people don't want to just be, like, angry and, like... Also, like, the massive... Okay, this is another thing. I am serious about not being serious. Because I love the environment, and I honestly think that if you're too intense and serious about it, people don't want to listen, people don't want to get involved, because I still want to have fun in my life. So, like, is there space for fun within Extinction Rebellion? If we're going to save the world, why not make it fun? Like, why not enjoy collaborating with people who also maybe want to, like, bring about positive change? You know what I mean? Like, let's, like, I want to have fun. I want to have fun and also, like, promote environmental positivity and, like, love and care for nature. So, yes, she's got a good point.
Look, we're here to tell the truth, right? If other people come on board with it or not, you can't negotiate with the atmosphere. The question is, are we going to aim for carbon net zero and stopping biodiversity loss by 2025? Or are we going to make this emergency worse for 10, 20, 30 years? That's what, as long as we haven't achieved net zero, we're making the emergency worse.
Right. So what he's saying is that he knows what's right. He knows the truth. Are people going to get on board or not? That's, like, quite arrogant, because, like, does he know? Like, he alone knows? Nobody else knows? I mean, how does he know? If there's, like, a for and against and all these different ideas, like, I haven't done the research, but it just seems slightly arrogant to just think that you know, and like, this is the truth, get on board or not. Like, it just doesn't feel right, you know what I mean? And my other thing is, yeah, if this ship is going along towards the edge of a cliff, like, do we just have these people take control instantly now and change the course? Is that possible? What happens? And we're just gonna have like an uprising? It's gonna be like the rebels in Star Wars fighting the evil government? Or is it like a change? And yeah, maybe it will get worse, and it will slowly get worse, but then we'll just have this like nice, gentle transition, maybe, or maybe not. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. But I'm just trying to put my thoughts out there, because please don't hate me, XR. Like, I absolutely respect and love what you're doing. You're raising environmental awareness, and that seems like the key thing here. And I'm also promoting you, because anybody talking about XR is spreading the XR message. And I love the environment and I love nature, so I'm trying to spread the message. I'm just not sure about the delivery, and I'm not sure if I would really want to get fully involved in XR, because it doesn't represent me. Like, I want to have fun, I want to enjoy life, and that's not me being self-indulgent, like I just want to have fun, I don't care about anything else. It's like, I will be there. When shit goes down, I will be there at the front lines, growing my vegetables in my local community, trying to look out for people. But like, it's not happening yet. Like, there's still space for us to have fun in life. Like, it's not the end of the world yet. Maybe there will be an end of the world, but maybe it won't. Maybe things will be okay. So like, I've lived with intense anxiety for a long time, and I'm not willing to get sucked into this dark hole of like depressive anxiety, thinking that the world's gonna end, because it might not. Like, things might actually be okay. So I'm gonna remain optimistic and hopeful, and continue to have some fun, and continue to have some chill times. So yes, stay tuned with Buck on the environmental issues and Extinction Rebellion. Just gonna watch a bit more video.
I think it a bit worse by taxis having to go round the roadblocks that you're putting in.
Hang on, leave the taxis. Hang on. But there is an interesting issue here that you've all posed, which is about a challenge to the economy and about changing that economy very dramatically. Where do you stand on that?
Yes, changing the economy. I agree with that. Maybe have a good chat with some people at Totnes who have the Re-Economy Centre, Reimagining Economy. I want to learn more about economics and how we can, like, have a positive change in economy, because I do think that that is important. What does she say about it?
I think that achieving it within such a short time frame would be, you know, incredibly destructive to the economy. It would require a kind of wholesale rethink of the way that we manage our lives.
That sounds good.
I do think wholesale rethink of the economy sounds good, but I also empathise with the idea that to instantly change everything could just be a bit too much. What do you think? Some people probably think we should just change everything instantly, some people don't, but just remember the ship. What happens if we, like, who's gonna be in charge? If we tear down the system that we've created and that has evolved over a long time, like, who's gonna be in charge? Not me. Definitely not me. 100% not me. I don't want to be in charge. Will it be Dr. Rupert Reed?
But you need to bring people with you if you're going to implement this kind of stuff. We live in a democracy, and I think some of the tactics of Extinction Rebellion are really starting to annoy people. They're preventing people from going about their livelihoods and so on. I think that there's a danger that they go too extreme and people end up rejecting it all.
She has a point.
Whereas what we need is some compromise. We do need to think about what we can do, and also to think of ways that we can use the market for good, carbon taxes, carbon capture, various forms of technology. And Extinction Rebellion tend to rule out pretty much everything that isn't going back to the Stone Age.
Ooh, savage! I don't agree with that particularly. Like, I don't think XR want to go back to the Stone Age. But I just think everyone on that table has points, has valuable points. And somewhere in the middle, there's like the little middle ground, like it's invisible, like they can't quite see it, but there's like a little dude like, yo, I'm the balance, Yo, bit of balance here. We need a little bit of balance. So hopefully they can work together to bring about a positive change. But I do think they've all got valuable points. Yes, there we go. First video on Extinction Rebellion. I love making videos about Extinction Rebellion. I want to make more videos about Extinction Rebellion because I love Extinction Rebellion. I also think there's some things like Extinction Rebellion can do to improve their mode of delivery on the issue of the environment.
Oh, that's such a tired old...
But answer that point, though.
Such a tired old line going back to Stone. I mean, really, where do you get these lines?
But what about using the market?
For example, is a Green New Deal, right?
Like, okay, something I've learnt in life. If you want to work with people, first of all, acknowledge them. Like, she's not a complete and utter idiot. She's not the enemy. She has a point. Like, she might not have the absolute truth. She might not have the solution, the balance, but she has a point, so at least acknowledge that and say, okay, I hear you, and here is some other ideas. See what I mean?
And what we're about, absolutely, is bringing people with us. That's why we're talking about citizens' assemblies, to go back to where we were before.
Yes, but
we want to bypass the tired
you want
old
to bypass
systems
normal democracy.
that you are part of.
That's the point, because people are not going to vote for this in the mainstream. Therefore, you have to come up with some device that allows you to bypass normal forms of democracy.
But what happened in April?
Again, she has a point. Like, how do you make it more mainstream? So, to begin with, make it slightly less crust. You know what I mean? Like, I have crust in me. But I know that if I was trying to be part of XR, I would intelligently manage my crust. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you got to play the game. Like, think about how you're coming across to the wider public. Think about if people will respect you or not. Like, ideally we live in a world where everybody is embraced and loved for who they are, and you can be as flamboyant and creative. Like, I would love to run around the streets in super colourful, bright clothes, but I just am aware that our society as a whole, mainstream society, is maybe like not quite ready for that. So like, if you want to be respected by the mainstream society, then like intelligently be aware of that and just play the game a bit to get more people on board would be my thinking. So yeah, let me know what you think.
Was that our rebellion transformed public opinion, and we're going to transform it still further over the next 2 weeks. 2/3 of the British people now saying, yes, there is a climate emergency. It doesn't matter whether or not people like us personally. What matters is if they start to hear our message.
And yeah, that is actually a very good point. It doesn't matter if we like him or not. Like, it's about raising the awareness, which is why I love Extinction Rebellion, because, like, whether we like it or not, and whether it has a hint of crust or not, it is still raising awareness. So that's great. And hopefully more people will get on board. Hopefully the movement will expand and it won't be a cult. I just don't want it to be a cult, you know what I mean? Like, don't want it just to be full of angry social justice warriors who are angry at the other half or more than half of the people who aren't angry social justice warriors or angry vegans. I'm sorry, vegans. I love vegans. I love veganism, but don't be angry at the non-vegans, please. They're not bad people. Like, some people just don't have the connection with nature, so they don't know about all the factory farming stuff. Like, some kids don't even know where meat comes from. Like, they don't know, so let's help them know, not get angry at them for not knowing. And also, as you will see soon, I don't necessarily think eating meat is a bad thing, because, like, I think it's great for lots of people to eat less meat and be vegetarian vegans if that's what they want to do. But I think it's okay for some people to eat meat, especially if we move in a direction of, like, better relationship with meat. So, like, soon I'm going to be going out hunting with a man who I have great respect for, who is a master huntsman, and we're going to be hunting rabbits. And that is my journey on the eating meat issue, which I have mixed feelings about. So, catch up soon. Think I've talked enough about Extinction Rebellion for one day, so I'll be back soon with more videos. Peace, and just want to reiterate that I like Extinction Rebellion, and keep going for it, it's great. Just trying to, like, bring a bit of reflection from like an outside perspective of somebody who loves and cares for the environment, but just is a little bit like with the mode of delivery of the Extinction Rebellion movement. So peace, everyone. Peace out, bros and sisters. I'll see you soon.